Africa has received over $1 trillion in aid. If aid is supposed to make you rich, why are most African countries still poor? According to one economist, aid might self be the problem. In 2009, an economist, Dambisa Moyo, published a book, Dead Aid, in which he argues that it is aid itself which is malignant, which is part of the problem and not the solution for these poor countries. And there are a couple of reasons why this is so. First reason is, of course, corruption. As soon as aid starts to flow in a country which has very poor regulated government or poor regulations, the elite, they rush to capture the large part of this aid in the form of NGOs, in the form of other organizations, and instead of this aid ending into public infrastructure projects or other developmental areas, it ends up in their private accounts. So we can say that aid money can also fuel corruption, war, and instabilities, which we have seen in the African countries in the past. The second factor, which may limit the effect of aid in improving the lives of the African countries and African citizens, is that it may distort market conditions or it may lead to market distortions. How so? Let me explain. So one form of free aid could be that a developed country is sending free mosquito net to an African country to reduce malaria. Now, when these free nets arrive in that African country, what happens to the producers in those countries which are producing which are producing mosquito nets? Would they be able to compete? Absolutely not. They are going to shut down, which is going to increase unemployment along in their industries and the ancillary industries with which they are attached, and of course lower down the living standard of people who are attached with them. The very important reason why aid may not be effective is because of the Dutch disease. Dutch disease is a phenomena which means that when there is a large influx of foreign currency, such as aid coming into a country, what will happen? It is going to appreciate our currency. The value of our currency is going to rise. Okay, what will that do? That is going to increase the prices of exports. Now, if your goods are price elastic, which means they already have a lot of substitutes in the international market, your products, which are now price elastic, will start to get expensive. And what happens when a product which is price elastic starts to get expensive? Its revenue falls. People are not going to buy our product, they're going to go to cheaper alternatives. So what will happen is, due to a large influx of aid, our products, our exports will become not very competitive in the market. The revenue from exports will fall, which is going to lead to current account issues in the country and also in the GDP in the long run. The other issue with aid, Dambisa argues, is the dependency trap. And what is a dependency trap is that when a country starts receiving aid, it becomes dependent on that aid. The government will start listening to the donors, the international donors, and will try to appease them rather than work for the taxpayers. So it is going to spend its resources from where it can get the most of aid rather than spend on public welfare. The contract of the government with the civilians will collapse, which is going to result in a loss of welfare for them. So in evaluation, whether aid hurts or it helps depends upon how it is used. Whether we are becoming dependent on that aid or we are using it to move forward. We are using it as a step stool to reach higher things. If it is supposed to develop, if it is developing an economy rather than hindering it, yes, then aid in the short run is beneficial. But just remember, it is like crutches. You need crutches if you have an issue with your legs to help you stand up. As soon as that issue is resolved, you don't use crutches anymore. You let go of those crutches and try to work on your own natural resources. Thank you.